Tomb Raider King opens inside a dark and freezing tomb, filled with the smell of death. Blood spreads across the stone floor. The bodies of 3 men lie motionless, and the main character, Goriki Ryuga, appears in a ruined state, gasping for breath, still gripping a sword stained with blood. His eyes no longer look like the eyes of someone completing a mission. They look like the eyes of a man who has been pushed to the very edge of rage and despair. Standing before Ryuga is a gigantic monster shaped like a snake or a dragon. Its whole body is dark purple and black. Its presence is so vicious that it feels like death itself has crawled out of an ancient grave. Even though he is the only one left, Ryuga still tries to fight back, but he cannot escape the monster's devastating strike. He is smashed into the stone wall, coughing blood, his body nearly pushed past its limit. Even so, the main character still refuses to fall. He gathers the last of his strength, lets a faint blue aura surround his body, then concentrates energy into his sword. In that life or death moment, Ryuga charges forward and slashes directly into the monster's left eye, making blood burst out violently. It is a fiery counterattack in a situation where survival already seems impossible. But unfortunately, this opponent is not the kind of enemy that goes down after one clean hit. The monster immediately counterattacks, bites Ryuga badly, and sends him falling into the center of the tomb. Blood keeps flowing. His body is so torn apart that just looking at him is enough to know the ending has almost been decided. In that moment, the strongest thing burning inside him is no longer the will to live, but hatred. Ryuga grits his teeth and screams the name Ugawara Taisei, the man who pushed him and his teammates into this deadly mission. It turns out this was not just a failed tomb raid, but a betrayal prepared from the beginning. He thought he had accepted a job only to receive a death sentence underground, just as death seems ready to swallow everything. The monster suddenly stops, and a mysterious voice rings out from a relic shaped like a demon statue holding fire in its mouth. It sounds surprised that Ryuga can hear it, while Ryuga answers that he has always been able to hear the voices of relics. Even while dying, he still tries to order it to destroy the serpent and save him. But the relic only mocks him coldly, because with his current body, Ryuga has no chance of surviving anymore. His body has already been split in 2 inside a pool of blood. The relic's mysterious voice continues echoing with cruel amusement. It asks if he is in pain, as if seeing a man lose the lower half of his body is not brutal enough. But instead of begging or falling into despair, Ryuga only burns with even greater fury. Inside his mind, there is only one name left: Ugawara Taisei, the man who forced him into this death trap. Ryuga swears that as long as he has even one chance, he will take revenge on Taisei, no matter what it costs. Even if he has to use the cruelest methods possible, that hatred and stubborn will to live finally catch the relic's interest. It decides that letting Ryuga die here would be a waste of talent, and right after that, the image of a giant glowing crow appears. The relic chooses to give him one chance to see whether Ryuga has what it takes to sit on the true throne. In the next moment, Ryuga suddenly wakes up inside a police station. There is no tomb, no blood, and no gigantic monster in front of him. He looks down at his body in shock and realizes that his arms and legs are still intact. Everything happens so suddenly that Ryuga wonders whether what he just experienced was only a dream or a hallucination. But the noisy scene in front of him quickly pulls him back to reality. A woman is yelling loudly, and beside her is a young man who has just caused trouble with him. Ryuga gradually remembers this situation. This is an event from 15 years ago, back when he was weak and had no money. At that time, he had been forced to kneel and beg just to reduce the absurd settlement payment the other side demanded. It was the kind of miserable past where poverty and bullying arrived together. But the current Ryuga is no longer the man who had to bow his head back then. He realizes that he has returned to the past, and this time, he chooses a completely different reaction. Facing the aggressive mother and son, Ryuga no longer holds back and loudly pushes back against them. When the young man charges in to hit him, Ryuga immediately restrains him and throws him down with ease. That exact moment makes him realize something important. Even though his body has returned to the past, his combat skills and survival experience are still intact. In other words, Ryuga has not only been revived, he has also brought the memories of an experienced tomb raider back to the starting line. After the fight, Ryuga is locked inside a holding cell. Outside, the woman keeps screaming, threatening that she will not settle and will call someone she knows to handle the situation. But Ryuga no longer cares very much. He sits silently in the cell and begins thinking about the future that only he knows. Once the relics appear, the world will quickly fall into chaos. The current law will soon lose much of its meaning, because true power will belong to those who control the strength of the tombs. From here, the story explains the origin of that chaos. Massive earthquakes once occurred all over the world, leading to the appearance of countless ancient tombs. Inside them were relics connected to mythology and legends. Anyone who excavated a relic would gain a special ability, causing all of humanity to plunge into a frantic treasure hunt. Ryuga himself once found the archaeologist's relic, a glowing blue cube that granted him the ability to understand knowledge about tombs and relics. He once thought his life had finally turned a new page, but the moment that opportunity opened, the TKBM group appeared, claiming exclusive excavation rights over the tombs and using force to drive him away, even threatening to shoot him if he refused to leave the area. From that point on, Ryuga understood clearly that in the world to come, relics would not only represent power, they would also bring money, corporations, guns, and dirty conspiracies. But this time, he has future memories and survival experience, so the game will definitely not play out the same way again. Inside the holding cell, Ryuga begins remembering all the humiliation he once suffered under Ugawara Taisei. After the TKBM group monopolized the right to excavate relics, people like Ryuga had almost no way to survive if they wanted to enter the tomb raiding world on their own. In the end, he had to do every dirty job for Ugawara, from smuggling, theft, spying, to breaking into forbidden tombs to steal relics. Through those jobs, Ugawara gained more and more power, while Ryuga turned himself into a loyal dog, enduring humiliation and orders simply because he believed he could at least earn money and survive in that chaotic world. But the final result was bitter. The people he served never saw him as a comrade, they only saw him as a tool to be used and discarded, and they even pushed him into a deadly trap inside the tomb. Back in the present, Ryuga understands that if he wants to change the future, the first thing he needs is money, a large amount of money, so he can prepare for excavation and move ahead of every other faction. At that exact moment, floating words suddenly appear in front of his eyes. Ryuga immediately recognizes this as the status window, something that only appears to those who possess a relic. The system informs him that he has activated his first basic skill, F-rank psychometry, which allows him to search the area within a radius of 1 meter. This skill reminds Ryuga of the archaeologist's relic, the blue cube that once gave him the ability to understand knowledge about tombs and relics. That also means the abilities connected to relics can still be activated in this timeline. But the more he thinks about it, the more cautious he becomes toward the crow relic, the thing that sent him back to the past. It definitely did not save him out of kindness. There must be another purpose behind it, and Ryuga understands that he has been given a chance, but he may also have been pulled into a much larger game. Not long afterward, Uncle Ken, a police officer who knows him, bails Ryuga out. The moment he steps out of the holding cell, Ryuga immediately asks Ken about strange cases, such as monsters or people with supernatural powers, but Ken denies everything. That answer helps Ryuga confirm his guess. The tombs may have already begun to appear, but nobody has truly obtained and used relics openly yet. In other words, this is the earliest stage, the golden moment for him to act, before the whole world switches into a race for power. The next thing Ryuga needs to do is earn enough money to fly to Europe or America, the places where many important relics are concentrated, and conveniently, his walking ATM appears right in front of the police station, Arai K and his gang of thugs. Ryuga remembers that back in high school, because he needed money, he used to work part-time for this group. He was paid almost nothing and was often used as a punching bag. But the current Ryuga is no longer the powerless kid from the past. He calmly announces that he is quitting, then demands that they pay every bit of salary they still owe him. Arai obviously refuses to accept being talked back to by someone he once looked down on. He orders his men to attack Ryuga, but the thugs quickly realize that they have picked a fight with the wrong version of the main character. This Ryuga has already received 15 years of experience. With only a few moves, he easily defeats all of them, forcing Arai into a corner. In panic, Arai pulls out a sword, but what shocks Ryuga is that the blade suddenly bursts into flames. This is not an ordinary weapon. It is a relic, and that detail immediately shatters Ryuga's original assumption. Because someone has obtained a relic earlier than he expected, the episode ends as Arai charges straight toward Ryuga with the burning sword, and for Ryuga, this may be less of a crisis, and more like a relic delivering itself right to his doorstep. Ryuga presses the blade right up against his opponent's throat and calmly declares that the item now belongs to him. And as for the sword, it's meant to be used in a completely different way. Turns out, this weapon can see straight through a person's skeletal structure, exposing every weak point like a glowing map. The two underlings panic the moment they see their boss disarmed and charge in together, but in Ryuga's eyes, their movements are so predictable it almost feels like slow motion. He slips right through their formation, cutting cleanly into critical points one after another. By the time they realize what happened, it's already too late. They're bleeding out before they can even figure out where the attacks came from. Ryuga casually turns back and asks if anyone else wants to try, but one look at their terrified faces is enough to tell him no one's volunteering for round 2. Not long after, Arai calls the boss to report what happened. She can't believe someone like Ryuga, who used to be nothing special, just wiped out an entire group. Arai tries to explain that his speed, his eyes, even the way he fights has completely changed, but the director only truly loses her composure when she hears that Ryuga took a Buddha statue. Her blood pressure instantly skyrockets as she orders her men to retrieve it at all costs. That overreaction says everything. The real value was never on the outside. The next morning, Ryuga goes around trying to sell the statue at antique shops, but every single place turns him away. Some even tell him to throw it out, saying it's not worth 5,000 yen. To anyone else, it's just a useless chunk of junk. But Ryuga remembers the panic in Arai's group, so he activates his low-rank detection skill, and the system immediately flags something suspicious hidden inside. Without hesitation, he uses the sword to break open the base. A small container drops out. Turns out, the gallery has been smuggling illegal goods by hiding them inside art pieces. On the outside, it looks peaceful and sacred. On the inside, it's enough to send an entire organization straight to prison. Ryuga immediately calls Uncle Ken. From just that one piece of evidence, the police quickly trace it back to the gallery and its warehouse. The director still tries to act innocent, demanding proof and confidently claiming the police could never unlock the storage rooms because each one uses a different code. But that confidence shatters the moment the radio reports that hundreds of artworks have already been uncovered. Every hidden item is now laid out in front of the police, and the one who cracked the entire system was Ryuga. He even calls her just to casually remind her that if you're doing something illegal, at least change your passwords once in a while. After wishing her a nice time in prison, Ryuga receives a 10 million yen reward from Uncle Ken. And just like that, his biggest problem is solved. Because if he wants to hunt tombs and compete for relics, he can't walk in empty-handed. He plans to head home, get some rest, and start fresh the next day. But right at that moment, a massive structure suddenly erupts from the ground, right in his neighborhood. Before he even has to go looking for a tomb, the tomb comes straight to him. The area is quickly sealed off, but the Japanese authorities clearly have no idea what they're dealing with. Meanwhile, 2 foreign forces have already arrived. Linda Walker from the US, someone Ryuga instantly recognizes as CIA, and Louis Kenshi from the Pento Republic excavation team. They stand in front of the tomb, neither willing to cooperate. Watching from the outside, Ryuga quickly realizes they may have fast intel, but they're not true tomb hunters. Right then, glowing red letters begin to appear around his feet. Ancient tomb script, the language of relics, and the system that records everything about the tomb itself. The text reveals the entrance, the layout, even the traps inside. At the same time, his linguistic skill activates. One of the core abilities of a tomb hunter is now unlocked. He follows the markings to what looks like a solid wall, places his hand in the right spot, then cuts across it. Light spreads instantly, and a massive pillar of fire erupts into the sky. Layers of glowing red symbols spiral outward, while Linda and Louis are still stunned by the dramatic entrance. Ryuga has already stepped inside. They rush in after him. Inside, it's pitch black. Ryuga lights a small flame and reads the ancient text along the walls. It leads him into a massive cavern with a waterfall and a crystal clear lake. The place looks almost peaceful, like a hidden paradise. But someone who's died in a tomb before knows better. The calmer it looks, the more dangerous it is. Without hesitation, he pulls out the sword and throws it straight into the lake. The water instantly erupts. A massive serpent rises from below, its body stretching across nearly the entire lake. And the first thing it says is, "Who dropped something here?" After a brief exchange, the serpent presents 2 weapons, 1 gold, 1 silver, and asks which one belongs to him. Ryuga instantly recognizes the setup, the classic woodcutter and water god relic, a story so common you could guess the answer with your eyes closed. Play honest, get rewarded. Show greed, get punished. When asked, Ryuga calmly says neither belongs to him. The serpent is pleased and returns his original weapon. According to the story, this is where he would receive all the rewards, but Ryuga doesn't take them. Instead, he asks to inspect his original sword first. The serpent agrees, completely unaware of what's coming next. The moment Ryuga gets his weapon back, he flips instantly and attacks. The serpent is caught completely off guard, furious at the betrayal. But Ryuga couldn't care less. There's no such thing as a free reward, and this kind of test has fooled plenty of people before. In the previous timeline, the owner of this relic was manipulated and turned into a mass murderer. So Ryuga was never here to earn rewards. He came to take the relic itself. He drives the blade into the serpent's head, releasing a surge of power as the creature thrashes violently, trying to shake him off with its massive body and the force of the water. But Ryuga clings on and declares he will force it into submission. The serpent mocks him, saying someone who just returned to the past can't possibly dominate it. But Ryuga doesn't need raw strength. He understands the system. There are 3 key factors when dealing with relics. Harmony, building trust until the relic willingly cooperates. Domination, forcing it to obey through sheer will and pressure. And compatibility, how well your nature aligns with the relic. A musician fits a musical relic. And someone like Ryuga, who negotiates with his fists, is perfectly suited for domination. The serpent tries to overwhelm him mentally, but 15 years of experience makes Ryuga completely immune. No matter how hard it thrashes, no matter how many times it throws him off, he keeps coming back, climbing right back onto its head, again and again. He declares that in this life, he will never rely on harmony. He has no interest in befriending something that could turn its owner into a killer, so he gives it a choice: submit or be destroyed. For the first time, the serpent panics. Its massive body begins to break apart into light until it completely disappears, leaving behind 2 axes, 1 gold, 1 silver. The system immediately confirms the tomb has been conquered. Excavation skill unlocked. 3 out of 4 core abilities are now active. And on top of that, he earns a title, Relic Intimidator, boosting domination power. At the cost of harmony, Ryuga instantly realizes this is the system mocking him. But before he can think further, he senses Linda and Louis approaching. He quickly hides near the lake and watches. Louis throws an item into the water, trying to summon the relic. But nothing happens. They arrived too late. The owner is already gone. Frustration builds as the tomb begins to collapse, forcing them to retreat empty-handed. Meanwhile, back outside, the gallery organization is completely wiped out. The director arrested, their entire operation dismantled. Kuriha talks big about revenge, only to instantly switch tones the moment Ryuga calls him. From boss to obedient subordinate in seconds, Ryuga doesn't even bother arguing. He just gives them their next mission, a secret auction in Las Vegas, one of the biggest hubs for rare artifacts in the world. Their target, a man named J.K., also known as Ugawara Taisei, the one who betrayed Ryuga in the previous timeline. He's not just hunting relics anymore, he's hunting his enemies. When they ask about funding, Ryuga promises to cover everything, refuse, and they can go meet Iron Man in heaven. Somewhere else, Louis reports his failure, only to learn that a Japanese man already cleared the tomb before him. And now, he's being warned to watch out for that person. For the first time, Ryuga is no longer a nobody. He's now a target. After stocking up on supplies, Ryuga prepares for his next hunt. A news broadcast nearby reports a series of bizarre murders, victims acting like they were controlled before dying. Ryuga immediately recognizes the pattern. Another tomb is about to appear. Right then, he runs into Louis and notices a small pink relic on him, carelessly exposed. Louis gets annoyed and starts a confrontation, but Ryuga has no intention of fighting in public, so he plays it smart. He shakes a soda can right next to him, sprays it all over Louis's expensive suit, then acts overly apologetic, pretending to help clean it, while casually stealing the relic, and even picking up Louis's ID to return it, like a kind stranger. Louis, worried about his identity, doesn't even check, and just like that, Ryuga walks away with another relic. Moments later, the ground begins to shake. Cars crash. People panic. A new tomb has appeared. Louis receives confirmation and is told the one who stole the relic is nearby. He suddenly remembers the soda incident, turns around, but it's already too late. Ryuga is gone, and this time, he's not just ahead, he's already taken the prize, setting the stage for an even more dangerous battle in the next tomb. I heard that you addicted to them sands now, girl.